Let's take a diversion here with Joey Waller and talk about basketball.
Yeah, spending some time with a man once known as a legend. He's best known as a former local basketball star, Brian, but Luther Wright's life has taken many dramatic turns. In fact, few knew the full scope of them until now. After playing at Seton Hall out of Elizabeth High School in the early 90s, at 7'2", Wright's abbreviated NBA career would lead to homelessness and crack addiction in Newark. Wright recently walking those streets for the first time with us since becoming clean more than 7 years ago.
I used to say, I'm the biggest crackhead you ever see when I talk to kids. And it's true. And you know 7'2" others, you know any other 7'2" crackhead besides myself?
No, as a matter of fact. And my in-depth visit with Luther is on our website. News12.com gives you a whole different perspective on the big film. To baseball we go, and Burt Reynolds playing for the Newark Bears sounds like another wacky minor league promotion, right? But this Burt Reynolds isn't acting at all. This first baseman is the first Newark native to play for the Bears. After starring at Bloomfield Tech, Reynolds spending 3 years in the Washington Nationals organization, and he's hit 13 homers this year, or 13 less than the number of Burt Reynolds movies he's seen.
I really actually not even watched none of his movies, so I mean, I get asked about it every single time, everywhere I go.
And so you've never seen The Longest Yard, for instance?
No, I've seen the new one.
So Burt, you've never thought of having a movie night at your house, having the guys over and having a nice Burt Reynolds marathon?
Nah, man, nah, I never didn't even cross my head.
Come on, somebody get that man a copy of the original Longest Yard.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit, something. Elsewhere, if he's not saving people from burning buildings when fighting fires, Wayne DeMatthews Jr. is bringing opponents to their knees in arm wrestling and using his hulking frame for both endeavors. DeMatthews grew up in Somerville. Some light training for him Tuesday, preparing to defend his super heavyweight arm wrestling title at Wednesday's World Police and Fire Games in Manhattan. At 6'4" and 285 pounds, DeMatthews has 20-inch arms. He's now a firefighter in Tampa, Florida, and has also had one bout as a cage fighter.
The one fight I had lasted 19 seconds, and he went out on his back, so.
That was a long 19 seconds, I think.
For him.
If you're going to take on the world champ, you better have the right strategy. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. That's why he's the champ. Had to try to take the big guy down. I was actually going to resort
It was a good attempt.
I was going to resort to biting and pulling hair, but I thought he might beat me up. And while rehabbing from his calf injury, Jeter's recent stint with the AA Trenton Thunder enabling his return to the Yankees, where he left an indelible impression on the Yanks of the future. Trenton's Eastern League All-Star second baseman Corbin Joseph switching his uniform number to number 3, allowing Jeter to wear his familiar number 2. And Joseph could hardly miss the crowd lining up 5 deep just to watch the future Hall of Famer take batting practice. And not surprisingly, many of those onlookers were of the admiring female persuasion. Speaking of which, when you get to the big leagues, are you ready to take on the challenge of having all those women constantly calling out your name before the game? You ready for that?
Well, you know, probably not, because, you know, I'm happily engaged, and so I'll probably be happily married by then, and, you know, I hope that everything with that works out pretty well.
That's a politically correct answer, very much like Derek Jeter would give. How about that?
That's right.
Very smooth. The captain would be proud. And it's well documented that Derek Jeter grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Every so often, his birthplace is mentioned in passing, Pequannock, New Jersey, right? After all, Jeter's family then moved to Arlington, New Jersey before leaving the Garden State when he was only 4. But in a News 12 New Jersey exclusive on this, the day after he reaches 3,000 hits, we take you to the actual site of Jeter's birth. Derek Sanderson Jeter was born on June 26, 1974, right here at what used to be Chilton Memorial Hospital in the Pompton Plains section of Pequannock. The hospital has since moved, replaced at 520 Newark Pompton Turnpike by this condominium complex called Crestwood Park.
Is this where Jeter was born?
Yes.
I don't believe this.
And who's your favorite player in the Yankees?
Of course, it's Derek Jeter.
It's pretty cool. A lot of people's Facebook statuses changed yesterday saying I live in the town where Derek Jeter was born.
I thought that it was an urban legend,
because you always hear about it, but then there's no signs, there's nothing. I'm like, yeah, right, maybe it's not true.
But it is indeed true. In fact, we're told there are 1- and 2-bedroom units for sale at Crestwood Park, all now tied to more than 3,000 hits, and one day to the Baseball Hall of Fame as well. And you know, when Jeter was in Trenton, in the opposing dugout was Altoona Curve pitching coach Wally Whitehurst, who you may recall spent parts of 4 seasons pitching for the Mets from 1989 through 1992. And Whitehurst ending his career in '96, making 2 starts for the eventual world champion Yankees, against whom he still carries a grudge.
Do you get a World Series share? Do you get a ring that year?
I got a share, but it was minimal. I got a AAA ring with Columbus that season, so George did not get me a ring, no.
Do you feel a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a shame. It's disgusting that I did not get a ring. Anybody that was in the big leagues for that season, no doubt, you play this game long enough, you're in it long enough, that's the one thing you could hope to ever get as a player. Money means nothing. The ring means everything, and I did not receive one.
Derek Jeter's here tonight making this rehab appearance. Maybe he can give you one of his. He certainly has enough of them.
There's a few of them that have a bunch of them.
His involvement in a fatal auto accident more than 3 years ago turned Jim Leyritz from former Yankee hero to societal outcast. But now he's starting anew and he's speaking out. Our conversation is Leyritz's first TV interview discussing his new tell-all book. As a part-time Major League catcher, the Newark Bears' new batting coach Jim Leyritz often was in the right place at the right time, epitomizing his clutch postseason knack, a momentum-turning home run in the 1996 World Series for the champion Yankees.
I never felt like it was a pressure moment because I spent a whole career, every time I got in the lineup, if I didn't do well, I wasn't playing the next day. And so every day to me was kind of a World Series.
But in 2007, Leyritz was in the wrong place at the wrong time in Florida, his car striking another, killing its driver, Frida Veach, a married mother of 2. Leyritz was charged with drunk driving and DUI manslaughter. His plunge from back page hero to front page scandal is detailed in Leyritz's new book, Catching Heat.
Knowing that your freedom can be taken away from you anytime you understand that and you realize that, having the feeling that maybe I won't see my children grow up. And just that situation, it was very difficult.
Awaiting trial, Leyritz allegedly violated bail for failing a breathalyzer test, attempted suicide, and beat his ex-wife. All were proven false, but the media damage was done.
And then they don't go back and clear it up once it's proven. Each time I went to court, and each time I walked out of court. There was never a time that when we got in front of a judge and I had to, do the process of the courts, that I walked back into jail.
Turns out, when the accident occurred, Veach was drunk herself and wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Last November, Leyritz shedding tears of joy when acquitted of DUI manslaughter. His sentence of a year's probation for a misdemeanor drunk driving charge receiving relatively little coverage.
It's a process. It's a process I go through every day, and you just take it one day at a time. That's the old saying for baseball too. You take it one day at a time, and you just let people see you. People, what I do from this point forward is what people are going to look at. Anytime you're involved, whether you're responsible or not responsible, or someone passes away, it's a devastating thing, and it's something that you live with every day, and you realize and you thank God that you are given another day.
His ordeal has cost Jim Leyritz his broadcasting career, his relationship with the Yankees, and what was left of his nearly $11 million in baseball earnings. But now, at 47, Jim Leyritz is starting over here in Newark.
I hope one day, and I said it before, that one of these kids comes up to me and says, Mr. Coach Leyritz, you know what? I'm in the big leagues, and you're a part of it.
I believe everybody deserves a second chance. Jimmy's very humble as a result of it being a tragic accident, but he still remains a great figure on the baseball field, and he's very good in the community here. So I'm proud to have Jimmy as part of the organization.
Sometimes in the right place at the right time, sometimes in the wrong place at the wrong time. But yeah, overall, like I said, I've been very blessed, and I didn't want this one incident to define who I was.
Who says number 13 is unlucky? We certainly wish Jim Leyritz the very best, and we bid you a great week. Thanks for being with us, and please do stay tuned for more news next.